So now we are showing the enhanced features for the human dispatcher, which allow also operation on AI trains. Up to now, AI trains weren't allowed to have their path rerouted, which can in some cases lead to annoying problems like Mexican standoffs or inefficient run of the trains with the long stops, for example, or impossibility to have some passing. So we are now in pause mode. We have here two trains, and as you can see, the two trains share the same path but in opposite directions, and so they would run one against the other and would be forced to stop. What we can do with this new feature is to reroute train 2 on the lower track in order to allow the crossing with train 1. To do this, we move this switch here, but if we try to do this now, let's now exit pause mode, it's not possible in this situation. As you see, it does not work. Why? Because the switch is now reserved by train 1, and this occurs because this signal here was in approach mode. Now I have forced it to stop mode. At this point I can move the switch, and as you can see, automatically the signal goes to approach and the train 2 can move on the other track, leaving now free run for train 1 once we have removed the forcing of the stop signal. Now we want also to have train 2 returning to its original path, which is the upper track here. So again we have to set this signal to stop, and then we can move the relevant switches. We can now set again to system control the signal, and as you can see, train 2 return in its original path, and the operation has terminated in a very simple manner. So let's see an alternate way to solve the situation which we showed before. It's maybe a bit less intuitive, but it is faster. What I forgot to say is that trains seem to run here very fast because I have accelerated the Open Rails execution in order to limit the time of the show. In this case, we will start modifying path of train 2 from the end of the path and not from the beginning, because as you will see, it's faster. So we exit pause mode. We again set this signal to stop so that we can move this switch. Well, we don't do it now. We first modify the switches at the end of the modified path, and we can do it because they are protected by this stopped signal. Only now we move this switch, and so you see that the new path for train 2 is already prepared. Now we can also set to system control the signal for train 1, and in few seconds the two trains are again running without obstacles. It is also possible for an AI train to run on a completely new path, so without returning to its original path. And this is what will be shown in next part of this video. So I have changed my idea. I will show now another application of this new feature. That is a case where we have the two trains running in the same direction, so in this case towards the right side. Train 1 is expected to stop at the station for some minutes. Train 2 must not stop at that station, so if we don't change anything, train 2 would wait some precious minutes because it has train 1 in front of it. So with the new feature we can reroute train 2 on the lower path, and so train 2 can pass train 1. This is simply done, so we exit pause mode. We again move this switch. We change also at the end the path of train 2 so that it returns to its original path. Okay, now train 2 will pass train 1 and return to its original path. Train 1 will be able to restart when train 2 has passed. After train 2 has passed, also train 1 can restart and take its own original path. As you can see here, so both trains are running in parallel on the two tracks, but what occurred is that the two trains had to cross themselves because the original paths required that. Well, this can be avoided because, as said some minute before, we can reroute both trains on a new path up to the end of the run of the train, and we will see it in next case. So, same case as before, but this time we will avoid that the two trains have to exchange their tracks at the end of the station, so gaining further time. So let's exit pause mode. We can reroute this train, and his modified path runs on the lower path, on the lower track, and so that's okay to us, and it will run on this track up to the end of the route. The other train would also run on the lower track if we do not change things, but we will do that. So we force this switch, which is at this moment yet in the straightaway position, again to straightaway position, but we are forcing it now, so that when the signal here will open, because the waiting point is expired, the train will run on the upper track. So as you see, train 1 has its waiting point terminated, and it runs in the lower track. It has no more to wait that the other train passed, and so both trains are running on exchanged tracks up to the end of the route. Or if one wants, he can change again later on the route the path of one or the other train, or of both. So there is very much freedom to use this feature. Of course, the main point is that switches must be protected by signals at stop